The first time they called me insane, I laughed it off. It was a nervous giggle, really, one that masked the cold grip of panic tightening around my throat. After all, how could my passion for exploring the unseen world of scent, particularly the paranormal, be anything but intriguing? But it wasn't long before that gentle laughter morphed into a chorus of ridicule. An olfactory cryptomycologist? My father snorted at dinner one night, shoving his fork into a mound of mashed potatoes like they were my hopes. That's just a fancy term for someone with their head in the clouds. You'll disgrace the family, you know that? I felt the weight of each word crash down upon me like an avalanche. My mother chimed in, her voice tinged with mockery. You've lost your mind. Why not do something normal, like sell perfume? They couldn't see what lay beneath the surface. The horrors I had begun to uncover after I was fired from that perfumery. I had exposed a rival's foul play, but the truth, only half formed in my mind at the time, was that scent could wield unimaginable power. I realized it had the ability to resurrect memories, to crack open old wounds, and worse, to summon specters from the deep recesses of the psyche. Years passed, and with each encounter, each mocking comment, I retreated deeper into the abyss. I discovered a world of memory-stealing fungi that thrived in forgotten shelters. I became their tireless sentinel, mapping cursed territories, tracing aromas that whispered ancient traumas. People claimed I was chasing shadows, but what they didn't understand was that those shadows were alive. They lived in the damp corners of abandoned homes, in the musty air of forgotten places, and they were waiting for someone like me to unearth them. Each scent I cataloged revealed a dark narrative, a haunting echo of despair. Eventually, my work earned me grudging recognition. Scientific journals published my findings, and the world began to quiver at the thought of what I had uncovered. But that acknowledgement did little to heal the wounds ripped open by my family's skepticism. Now, I was no longer a disappointment. I was a warning. I arrived back home, not as the broken dreamer they had scoffed at, but as someone who had glimpsed the nether realm and returned with truths they dared not face. My mother's house smelled like nostalgia, the familiar scent of vanilla candles and freshly baked bread. But I couldn't ignore the uneasy atmosphere, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. The silence was thick, stifling. My family sat around the dining room table, eyes wide with disbelief as I revealed what I had learned, the ghostly aromas that could transport a person into their most painful memories, and the malevolent fungi that latched onto those traumas, turning them into something more sinister. "Stop, you're scaring us," my little sister said, her voice trembling. But I had to show them. They needed to understand that I wasn't just a disgraced fool. I had become a vessel for the unspeakable. With a deep breath, I pulled out a small jar containing a faintly glowing mushroom, its surface crawling with ethereal life. "This," I said, my heart pounding in my chest, "is the scent of a forgotten tragedy. A horrific loss that happened in an old orphanage in the woods." My family's eyes darted between the jar and each other, confusion morphing into dread. Just as I was about to speak again, the air turned acrid, the familiar sense of home twisting into something grotesque. A low whisper filled the room, a blend of memory and melody that tugged at the edges of my consciousness. My mother's face paled as the memory began to seep into the air. I felt it, the scent wrapping around her, pulling her deeper into a moment long buried. "No, no," she gasped, clutching her temples. "I don't want to remember." I could see it, the flicker of a past she had tried to erase, the ghost of a lost sibling shrouded in regret. It manifested as a fleeting shadow, whispering through the air, binding her to her deepest fears. "What have you done?" my father yelled, his voice cracking as he scrambled to distance himself from the jar. Yet the scent thickened, suffocating the room. The laughter from years ago echoing as a bitter reminder of their disbelief. They were forced to confront what they had mocked. My sister's eyes widened in horror as she too was pulled into the sense web, enveloped by nightmares I had only begun to decipher. The shadows danced, intertwining their memories with the ancient traumas of those specters I had unearthed. As they struggled to escape the memories they had buried, I felt a profound sense of vindication. This was the price of ridicule. Their disbelief had cast shadows over my journey, but now they stood on the precipice of their own dark knowledge. The vision dissipated as swiftly as it had come, leaving my family gasping for breath, their faces ashen. "Please, you have to stop this," my mother pleaded, tears streaming down her face. But I had no power over the scent. It had a life of its own, a truth that was now undeniable. "You mocked me," I whispered, my heart heavy yet resolute. "And now you see." My family's recognition of my truth felt like a poetic justice, a vindication born not just of my work, but of their own reckoning. As I stepped back, leaving the jar behind, I felt an eerie calm settle over me. They had finally come face to face with the horrors I had endured and exposed, and though the weight of their disbelief hung heavily in the air, a chilling acceptance formed a fragile bridge. In the days that followed, I remained at the edges of their lives, a shadow that whispered of truths buried in the darkness. They would never fully understand what I had become, nor would they fully escape the weight of their pasts. But I would reclaim my identity as an expert, a survivor, an unwilling harbinger of the dark knowledge I carried, the living testament to horrors that demanded recognition. As I walked out of their home, the whispers of the fungi still echoed in my mind, and I smiled, knowing that I had finally emerged, whole yet forever changed. The scent lingered, a bittersweet reminder that understanding anything often comes at a cost.